everyone, Sonic Blue here, and I decided to do a different style of tutorial video. I love Chinese food. One of the things that I love doing is going to Chinese buffets and really scarfing myself silly with all the foods that they offer. And how could you not when you're in a place where you can eat all you want to for one measly price of generally $8 to $10, maybe $11, give or take a few cents, and tax included. But while you're there, you might as well make a glutton of yourself. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about Chinese food? Why am I talking about buffet food? Because I love Chinese and I love going to Chinese buffets. But that's beside the point. I'm not telling you here, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I like. I'm going to sit here and actually do a little tutorial because I have, like I said, gone to many buffets with many different friends, and so many of them look at me when I eat Chinese food with chopsticks, and they look at me like, how in the world do you do that? It's very simple, and I'm going to show everybody just how to eat Chinese food or any kind of food with chopsticks. So here we go. First you want to do is take your hand like this, and then your first chopstick, I think they're little pandas, it's a metal. Yeah, these are my good chopsticks. You take your hand like this. Now, I'm right-handed, but if you're left-handed, it works the same way, just reverse it. Actually, I'm kind of ambidextrous, so I can do it both hands. But I'll show you the right-handed way, is take your hand like this, and then what you're going to do is about a quarter of the way down is where you're going to rest it into the curvature of your thumb and forefinger here. So you're going to rest it like this, and then with this finger, this one right here, you're going to hold with your thumb here. I'm going to turn around here. Thumb here, forefinger there, and you got a good grip. Make sure your index finger is sticking straight out like this. This is what we call the pencil position. Now, hold the first chopstick in the pencil position, and you get a good grip on it. Your thumb is going to prevent the chopstick from flying out of your grasp. Now, this chopstick is basically, this one is the stationary one, this one is the non-stationary one. So you have two different style of chopsticks. This one's going to stay right where it is. This one is going to close in on all of your food. So what you do with this chopstick is you do the same thing as the first one, only you arc it upward a little bit and hold it on the rest of your thumb, because you notice the thumb on the first stationary chopstick is going to be like held by the mid section of your thumb, leaving your thumb tip to grasp this. So what you want to do is do the same thing, but only arc it upward like this. Now your index finger is going to grasp with your thumb tip. So thus, make sure it's even too, you'll be holding the chopsticks around the middle of the shaft here. So there is your grip, and it's very easy to eat food with your chopsticks. Now, I have a plate of Chinese food, which I have something left, but I wanted to also include how to eat rice with chopsticks too. But let's start off with something easy. Remember the position of your chopsticks. And remember, bottom one is stationary, the top one is going to do the work. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab, let's grab a piece of broccoli. Now what you're going to do is you're going to come in, I don't know if you can see this very well, yeah you can, and grasp it kind of like a claw game. You know, you want to go for the good spot where you know it's not going to slip off. And notice I'm bouncing this thing up and down. I've got a good enough grip on the broccoli here, and that it's not going to slip out. And if it does, hey, you know what? Nobody's perfect. Just pick it up and try it again. But as you can see, this chopstick here is going to close in on that broccoli. So what you're going to do is you're going to make it wide enough for the food to go in between, and with your index finger, bring it into, or bring it toward your stationary chopstick, pick it up, and there you have it. That's how you eat with chopsticks. It's very simple. And since these are metal, my broccoli slipped. So eating with metal chopsticks is kind of tricky. But if you can master eating with bamboo chopsticks, and I'd say get started with bamboo chopsticks first. Work your way up to the wooden ones, and then you're ready for the advanced metal chopsticks. Now, let's get a piece of water chestnut, something flat, something glossy, slippery. It all depends on how much pressure you put in picking up your food with chopsticks. Basically what you want to do You don't want to apply too much pressure, because too much pressure and that thing is not going to be held in together very well. You want to use just enough pressure to lift the food off the plate. Nothing more than that. And you can see I'm bouncing it up and down. It's not going anywhere. Now, right into the mouth, that's good water chestnut. Now, something even more tricky to pick up with chopsticks, especially metal ones, are the, come here, marinated mushrooms. These things can get very slippery, but with a lot of practice, you can pick these up too. So now you got the general idea of how to eat with chopsticks. So remember, a little refreshery, the bottom chopstick is going to be stationary. The top one is going to be mobile. So remember that. You don't have to move the bottom one because the top one is going to do all the work. Now, let's talk rice. I know every restaurant offers it that offers Chinese food offers rice, and they've offered it in two different styles, steamed rice or fried rice. Steamed rice holds together a lot better than fried rice does until you add the soy sauce, and then it breaks it all down again. But rice is rice. No matter how you eat it, no matter how you slice and dice it, it always leads to the fact that it's made with rice. Rice happens to be very tricky in eating with chopsticks, but you can easily eat rice with chopsticks. I've seen a lot of people who will eat their main course and then throw down their chopsticks, grab a fork or a spoon, and then start eating the rice. I'm like, what are you doing? He says, I can't eat rice with chopsticks. That's because you're not using the right technique. Remember the formula. Bottom chopstick is going to be stationary. The top one is going to do all the work. Now, since we're talking about rice, we're talking about something very small and something obviously very difficult to pick up with chopsticks, as you can see. But you have to use the proper technique. What you want to do with your rice. Now, let's get some of this bigger chunk food out of the way, so I don't want to cheat by picking something up that's big. And we're going to work fully on just the rice. So here's the rice here. What you're going to do is you want to hold your chopsticks flat like this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to gather up a good pile of it like this with your stationary chopstick. Just kind of gather up a pile of rice. And then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of eat this like a spoon, but only there's going to be space underneath. Now what you're going to do is you're going to lightly, very carefully close the top chopstick closer to the bottom one and pick it up. And as you can see, using the littlest amount of pressure possible, you rely on friction to lift the rice off the plate so you can eat it. Let's see that again. I'm going to gather up some rice here. And then remember, flat, gather some up, lightly close, two chopsticks together, pick up your rice. And if you just have too much falling down, try it again. But you're basically using friction and science to hold your rice together. There is a science to it. And basically you're using the rice to cooperate with each other to be picked up by chopsticks. And as you can see, from the bottom, there is nothing holding those chopsticks together. They're not held together. The whole point of picking up rice is you don't bring them close together. You bring them, what? I should rephrase that. You bring your chopsticks close together, but don't bring them together to where they're touching. You basically want to have your chopsticks to be about like that, about that far apart. And you basically rely on friction of the rice to remain nestled between that gaping space in your chopsticks so you can eat it. So now that you got a rhythm down, you can eat a little faster. Let's gather up some more rice and I'll show you. Once you got your rhythm down, then it's easy. Eating with rice doesn't have to be complicated, especially when you eat with chopsticks. When you get good enough at chopsticks, you can eat this fast with rice, and people will think you're a pro. People will think you stayed in China or Japan. But you can tell them, nah, never been there. But I love their food. And you will too. Now that you know how to eat with chopsticks, go out to your favorite Chinese or Japanese or Korean or any Asian restaurant in the world that serves their food. Pick up a pair of chopsticks, try it out for yourself. Practice at it a bit, but just remember those steps I taught you. So, to review a little bit, the bottom chopstick is going to be your stationary chopstick. The top one is going to do all the work. You want to make sure that your thumb tip and your forefinger tip are holding the movable chopstick. Your stationary one is going to be held with your index finger and the middle, where the first knuckle is, or the second knuckle, the middle knuckle, this one, of your thumb. So there you have that, and so it'll leave your finger free to grab onto this one, and there you have holding a pair of chopsticks. And it's always best to keep the two ends as even as possible. And if you need a little help, just use your finger to make sure that those two are at the same point. And then you can pick up your food easily, and you'll be enjoying good old Asian food in no time. All you have to do is just practice on this a lot. Don't give up. And if you have to, like I did, practice on everything that you can eat. Practice on spaghetti. Practice on pork chops, chicken, anything you want to. It doesn't have to be Asian food to practice with chopsticks. Once you get the hang of it, there ain't no going back. You'll eat all of your food with chopsticks and really impress your friends. So, for How to Eat with Chopsticks, this is Sonic Blue, hoping that everybody enjoys their time out as a family who eats together, and now you can really impress everybody with how you can eat with chopsticks. Boy, if you're not cooking good, you're not eating good. But sometimes you just can't help but to order out. But when you do, you can always rest assured that you'll be impressing with a lot of people on how well you can eat with chopsticks too. So, take care until next time, and I'll see you at the buffets.